Hallo Jasper.
Hello Max, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, do we have your screen already to share the presentation?
I will put it up. I can now start sharing. You're right. Here you go. I see George as well, Georg, and I assume my colleague Johannes will join as well.
Yeah, I think we're already live, right?
I don't know whether we are live yet.
Yeah, I think we are live. So
now you're live.
Yes, I'm live. So welcome to the second presentation of the Austrian Tunnel Safety chapter. It is about cybersecurity, and Jasper Kimstra together with Johannes Braams, they will give you the second presentation, and I would like to give now the floor to Jasper to introduce yourself and start with the presentation, please. The floor is yours.
Max, thank you very much. Welcome everyone. I would like to briefly introduce myself, but only first after telling you, we would like to tell you something about our living document, Cybersecurity for Tunnels, which of course has a reason to be existing. My name, Jasper Kimstra from the Netherlands, owner of an engineering firm, and I'm still waiting and looking around for my colleague Johannes Braams, also working at an engineering firm and as a specialist in cybersecurity. There he is. Johannes, I have just introduced us, and I would like to start out with the contents, the things we like to inform you about. We will start with a brief personal introduction, where Johannes and I will again introduce ourselves. I will put a link between tunnel safety and cybersecurity. Our safety officer misses a link to cybersecurity, and I will explain to you how I come to this statement. I will shortly tell you something about the project and the project team, Cybersecurity for Tunnels. And we will tell you, especially Johannes will tell you something more about how we have started our living document cybersecurity and what it looks like right now. Afterwards, of course, we have some time for some questions. Just shortly about myself, as I mentioned already, owner at Kimpro engineering firm and engineering services at the boundary of infrastructure and ICT. I found myself sort of living in tunnels nowadays, which I do some 20 years already, and my experience is especially in operational technology and complex infrastructural projects, combining tunnel management system, software and hardware to be a good working combination. My background, mechanical engineering and business administration, with many add-ons in project management. I am a project manager at COB as well, especially at the working group of cybersecurity. Johannes, take it away.
Thank you, Jasper. Long time ago, I studied electromechanical engineering, and I've worked for KPN for 29 years. KPN is a telecoms company where I was for 18 years an IT project manager. But after that, I made a career move and landed in industrial automation and cybersecurity. And in 2015, I joined a project for the Dutch Highways Agency, Rijkswaterstaat, where we visited all the objects of Rijkswaterstaat, from storm surge barriers to locks and movable bridges and stuff like that, and investigated them on safety and security. And from there, I moved on to Royal Haskoning DHV, one of the bigger engineering firms in the Netherlands, where my main topic is cybersecurity and ICS. So I got a couple of certification in this area.
As I said, we will try to put a link between tunnel safety and cybersecurity, and that has a reason, of course. Tunnel safety in the Netherlands is prescribed in the WARF. Not only WARF W, but WARF W prescribes most of it. The thing is, WARF W describes a lot about safety provisions and about the tunnel management organization. It tells us about self-sustainability, to which the proper working of information systems are an assumption. We fail to question or challenge the integrity and reliability, and thus the cybersecurity of the information systems we use to manage the tunnel safety. And that of course put kind of a problem to when we ask our tunnel safety officer to examine and to determine the tunnel safety primarily by looking at WARF W. So, in other words, we think the security officer has no controls on cybersecurity. He has no tools to question it or to examine it. But we all know nowadays that cybersecurity is a very important thing to safety and integrity of our environment. So I dare to say, when cybersecurity isn't okay, tunnel safety might be in danger. And we at COB found out that this is a subject that not only I have an idea about, but it's something that most asset managers start to see and know and recognize. Not today, not yesterday. I believe it was about 5 years ago, 2015, where we decided that it was getting time to start writing, let's say, some sort of a manual, an introduction in the link of cybersecurity to tunnel safety. We were with about 20 participants from public and private organizations, public asset managers, private lead technicians. And what I think was very special and has only just grown in this group, in this project group, is that we have realized a very, I would say, a strikingly free, a very free environment for all of us to discuss the problems and threats and opportunities we see in relation to cybersecurity for our environmental object, especially for tunnels. And what we noted, the lack of knowledge about cybersecurity. Our colleagues in the role of asset manager of the tunnels are aware of the fact that there is cybersecurity and that there might be something to do with their tunnel, but they do not necessarily have the knowledge of how to assess that problem. We noted that there is a lack of accessible information. There is very much information to be found, but where is it? And what you can find is written for specialists. So we launched a plan for an easy-to-read book describing threats and chances, do's and don'ts. In fact, an easy-to-read book, firstly planned just for the asset manager, but nowadays actually for everyone involved in maintaining or operating a tunnel. We call it our living document, and this year we will release our third issue. I think it's quite a special thing that we have this group working together in this free environment, discussing all their other ideas and problems. I would like to hand over to Johannes. He will take us a little further into our living document.
So 5 minutes left, please.
So I'm going to be quick. Thank you. As Jasper already said, there's a link between safety and security. Moreover, TÜV already said a couple of years ago, how safe is a machine that isn't secure? And control engineering in 2017 said, if it isn't secure, it isn't safe. So tunnel safety has been mentioned quite a few times already today, and will be mentioned much more in the future. But cybersecurity deserves much more attention. So the living document. It's a starting guide, as Jasper said, and we start out with the basic necessities for cybersecurity, which is a proper asset management, and you need a balance between the people, the procedures, and the techniques of security, and you need also a balance between costs, risks, and usability. So cybersecurity is a multi-dimensional problem. The content of the living document is based on the Dutch situation, of course, but most of it is applicable internationally. That's why we got it translated last year. So the contents of the document, a quick overview. We start with the people aspect, awareness of the people, education of the people, several plans. We look into legislation, of course, the Dutch legislation, but much of it is based on European legislations like the NIS directive and the GDPR, and underlying are international standards like the ISO 27001 and the IEC 62443 for industrial controlling systems. Then we move on to aspects of organization, the cybersecurity management system as is prescribed by the IEC 62443, and how you have to handle cybersecurity in the life cycle of any object, how you have to deal with responsibilities in the organization that's responsible for the object. There's risk management involved, and how do you deal with that? And of course, if you're doing a build of a new tunnel or a renovation of a tunnel, you have to do verification and validation as well. So you look into aspects of cybersecurity in verification and validation. And if you've got a tunnel in operation, you've got to do monitoring, and then not only monitoring of the normal aspects of the tunnel, but also monitoring of the computer aspects of the cybersecurity aspects of the tunnel. What's going on in your network? Is anybody plugging into something into that network? Is anything weird happening in the PLCs or servers that are in the network? You might need a security operations center to do that monitoring. And if you're doing monitoring, one very important aspect is that the clocks of all those systems have to be synchronized. We've seen quite a few systems where that isn't the case, and if you then start investigating log files, you run into problems. Of course, we also have a look on incidents and recovery, and then incidents in respect with cybersecurity. So we look at cybersecurity internal projects, and then in the various phases of those projects, and how you have to, what cybersecurity means in the construction, in the design, planning and design phase of the tunnel, in the construction phase, in the exploitation phase, and even in the demolition, if you ever get there with a tunnel. And finally, we have a chapter on practical experiences that we've collected from the field. So the first edition of the living document appeared in late 2018, and last year, 2019, we had our second edition. So the first one was, as Jasper said, primarily aimed at the tunnel managers, and the second edition was encompassing the entire life cycle of a tunnel system, and we had a first English version. And this year we did a rewrite, a reordering of the content to make it more readable, better accessible, and that one will be translated as well, but you'll have to be a little bit patient for that. And we added a couple of subjects like business case, organizational maturity, and the main topic that needs further attention in next year is security and safety, and that will probably be in our 4th edition next year.
2 minutes left, please. And
if you have interested in the tunnel, in the living document, that's where you find it. This is the English one. This is a Dutch one, of course, but this is the location of the document.
And this was our presentation.
So we have some time for questions.
We have time for questions, about 60 seconds.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I have just one question. Digitalization also has the aspect of data protection. So will Big Brother be permanently watching us in the future? What do you think about
that? Big Brother is watching us already. But I think you have it more specifically with respect to storage of data and privacy aspects. I think that's what you mean, Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned GDPR, because yes, for instance, if you've got cameras in your tunnel, and most tunnels have, you might find that you take personal identifiable information, and you have to protect that. Yes, so we have to make sure that we follow GDPR with that kind of data.
Okay, so I would like to thank you very much for your interesting presentation.
You're welcome.
I would invite you and also the others. We have a good audience of 50 persons here now in this presentation. I invite you to meet in the next presentation. We will start there in exactly 3 minutes from now. So thank you very much, and meet you then hopefully in the next presentation about from innovation to regulation with Caseboat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.